So we have Rob Hinchcliffe with us from London. He's got a very interesting background, lots of different projects, different markets that he's worked on. Rob, tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
For the last 6 months, I've been working for a startup called Rushmore, backed by Beatsworks in New York. And we are a social music startup, I guess. We are a community of music fans. And where you can basically take the news, the releases, all the gig listings for all the bands that you like in one place in a kind of beautiful little ecosystem. And obviously explore this kind of community of other fans as well and discover new music. And what we're working on right now is kind of bringing the music artists into that mix and putting those two kind of communities together.
So how are you trying to bring the artists in a more detailed way? What are you trying to do? What's different? What's different about your
the USP
model?
Is we are building an app which will allow artists to broadcast directly from their phone or from their laptop or whatever, or their desktop, directly to their fans on Rushmore, and they can take that video and put it on Facebook or YouTube or wherever they like, but it will originate from Rushmore. And what that does is it allows them to invite fans kind of backstage, if you like. It allows them into backstage or into the studio or into their lives, and it kind of gives fans a bit more access and a bit more kind of transparency, I guess, within that relationship between the performer and the person who follows that performer, which you're starting to get now through social media, through Facebook and Twitter and things like that. Yeah, exactly. And we're kind of just taking that one little step further, and we're also going to try and give a bit more ownership to the artist of that relationship. So instead of keeping it all in Facebook and Facebook taking all our data and using it, we want to give a bit of a tool to the artist so they can find out about their fans, find out who they are, where they are, what they want from them, and kind of be the conduit for that relationship a little bit.
Do they want to do that? Do artists care to be actually connecting with their fans, or do they just want to be, do they care about putting it out there, putting their art out there, and then hoping that they get loads of Twitter followers?
I think people want to hear back for the main part. I mean, you've got indie artists who are got 5,000, 10,000 followers on Twitter or something like that, who obviously want to build an audience, and talking to them directly and interacting with them directly is a great way of doing that. And that's what Rushmore is going to let people do. And then you've got the bigger acts, you've got labels who, and big universal global stars who are looking for a way that is not video on demand, it's not YouTube, it's not curated, it's not polished within a degree of depth. It's actually real, and they kind of want to bypass that kind of middleman a little bit. And I think that's what the music industry has changed so much in the last decade, that we're just trying to give people that next step, I think, and also let the fans be able to make it easier to be a fan of music, because at the moment the content is everywhere on a million different platforms, and the news is everywhere, and it's hard, the gig news comes to you through a different thing. We want to just kind of put all that in one place and connect you to that, those other fans, but also those artists directly, which is not something that can be done right now, I think. So that's what we're trying to achieve, yeah.
Okay, well, so relating back to the e-commerce market, is your company going to tap into that? What's the future in that? What's the future of e-commerce as it relates to the music industry?
We're not selling music. we're not touching that with a barge pole for a start. I think what we're going to try and do is allow, obviously that relationship we were talking about, the artist-fan relationship, that's going to be, that's a free tool.
Okay.
But as we start building on that and giving more access and more functionality, I guess, to the artists, then the artists can, upgrade that relationship and upgrade their kind of functionality. So there might be cool things you can do if you want to plan a tour. Then we can take that data and give it to you in a way, so the artist is still paying us. Or if you want to do a special broadcast, and we can also sponsor those broadcasts as well. So if there's a big event going on Rushmore where there's an artist doing something for a big group of fans, we can get a brand in to sponsor that event. So that's the commerce model that we're looking at. But it's more, we're flipping it. It's basically the artist paying to connect with the fans rather than the other way around.
Artists paying to connect with the fans.
That's what we're like.
And you think they'll jump on?
We've already tested it. Yeah, and it said when they see that kind of live connection with their audiences, I can take this anywhere, because this is what we're talking about. That's incredible. They can just switch it on and go. It sits there as a video on demand for however, but the live thing, and they can actually chat to their fans while they're doing it and see what the fans are saying and respond to them in real time. That's very valuable. And then when you think about the data that generates and the metadata around that, In terms of, if you're planning, like say, planning a tour, which cities, which countries should you be going to because your fans are there. If we can start surfacing, what do they want to see you do, what other bands do they like, if we can start surfacing that data to the artist, then it becomes a real kind of almost back-end Google Analytics for musicians and anyone who makes music. So that's where we're starting to take this, so it's quite exciting stuff. And we want the artists to tell us what they need as well, because they're stuck in an industry which is quite stagnant and has been, missed the boat in terms of innovation, which is what we're talking about. So we're trying to give them a little bit of a leg up and go, okay, tell us what you really need, and we'll try and deliver that to you. So that's what we're trying to do at the moment, is go out and talk to those guys.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Rob.
No worries, thank you.